Blog Talk Radio.
Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. It's the new experience. Reality, spirituality. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one, man. Reality, spirituality. You got a question for RLN? Reality, spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get some answers, baby. Reality, spirituality. Oh, now we getting real. Getting real. Reality, spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get down. Reality, spirituality. Yeah, you gonna feel good now. Real good. Now, that's what I'm talking about. Time to get real.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Reality Spirituality, the truth about happiness. I'm your host, Global Happiness Specialist. That's right, I said it. Global Happiness Specialist, Inner Peace Practitioner. I'm going to throw in Oracle. But most importantly, an ongoing student. Just like you, I don't pretend to be any different, any better. But what I do is I've been practicing this for 45 years. And the good news is happiness is a practiced skill. Just like any other skill, from being a chef, a landscaper, an athlete, a musician, a speaker, an actor. Happiness is a practice skill. And when I say happiness, sometimes I get a little pushback because some people don't like that word happy. Sometimes that word happy just triggers people. So let me be very clear when I say happiness. I'm talking about a personal vibration, a personal energy of contentment, an energy of contentment, an energy of peace. You can feel it. You can feel it in your mind. You can feel it in your body. An energy of contentment. So that's what I'm talking about. How to experience it? How do you experience more of those moments of contentment along the journey? My favorite quote from Abraham is, "You cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey." So what I share with you on this show, and I said 45 years of practicing, yes. When I was younger, when you make a wish and you blow the candles out on your birthday cake and you make a wish, I always wished for the same two things. I wanted to live to my potential. I had no idea what that meant. I had no specific idea or vision or goal. I just wanted to live to my potential. And the second thing, I wanted to be happy. And so this search, this seeking happiness has led to a lot of discoveries over 45 years. And the truth about happiness is, again, it's a practice skill. So let me share with you my definition of happiness. My definition, and I say we are as different as fingerprints. So my definition of happiness is the ability to vibrate an energy of peace, regardless of your circumstances, regardless of what's happening out there, regardless of the external, the ability to vibrate an energy of contentment, an energy of peace. Now I'm getting chills. And so that's a practice that anyone can achieve. Anyone can achieve if you're committed, if you prioritize, if you even are focused on or even value the energy of contentment. And some people aren't. But let me just, before I get into today's show, because a warning right now. I always give warnings. Oh, I don't intend to, but this topic is going to, scratch that, I don't know if it's going to, may possibly trigger, push buttons, get annoyed, I'm the enemy. Yes, I get all of it. Trust me, after 45 years, I've been attacked by all angles. But the practice, no, one of the things to practice is not taking anything anyone says or does personally. And the book that I'm almost finished with, meaning edited, published, it's called Program for Unhappiness. And I'm up to 54 program behaviors that have been proven to subtract from your happiness, your contentment, your inner peace. Proven. And they are on different levels. Level 1, the level 1 program behaviors, anyone, I call them civilians, anyone understands, well, where's my list? Hold on a second. Where's my list? Now, the list is, where did I put that list? Oh, because I can't memorize 50. Well, where is my list? Oh, right in front of me, where I left it. So level 1 is our program behaviors that anyone can understand. For instance, worrying, being impatient, rushing, thinking money can buy happiness or peace. So first level is common sense. The second level of program behaviors is a little bit more, requires a little bit more study, self-awareness, and level 3 is just a higher level of understanding that the stories, the truth about this life, why are we, scratch the we, why am I here? What is my purpose? Just being here, I have so much, I'm about to burst. I really am. This whole topic today started, just thinking about it and wanting to share it, started at least 2-3 weeks ago, and I just feel compelled to share this. Now, you can agree, you can disagree, you can it doesn't matter. I'm just sharing my perspective. The truth is, I don't need to feel peaceful to be peaceful. Why do I rely on my feelings and my emotions to be peaceful? See, one of the analogies that I've given before is the ocean. So at the bottom of the ocean, it's dark, it's quiet, it's peaceful. And then at the top, of course, there's waves, there's storms, there's activity, there's movement. And so the question becomes, where do you live? Where do you spend most of your time? Up at the top of the ocean, where you are affected by external circumstances, or the bottom? I am not my ego. You are not your ego. I am not my body. My ego is separate from who I really am. And if you're listening to me, you scratch that. But if you've listened before, I've explained it, that the two entities. And it's very, very important to be mindful of the two entities, maybe more, the two entities that are living, taking up space in your head. Before I go on, the number to call in if you want to speak with me live is area code 646-564-9619. Again, area code 646-564-9619 if you want to speak with me live, or if you're on Wisdom, you can also just ask to come up and comment. Whew. The truth about happiness, I gave you my definition. Happiness is a state of mind, a state in mind. It's a vibration. It's an energy. And when you practice committing to, wanting to, prioritizing this energy of contentment, it becomes that energy of contentment becomes your identity. At least that's what I found. Happiness is the state of mind you were born into before all of the programming. And I say happiness is a practice skill. It's just reverting back to who you were before the programming. And a quick example, I use this a lot because when I ask the question, do you worry, 98% of the population raise their hand. Yeah, of course I worry. Or some people say, not all the time, sometimes. That's a programmed behavior. You were programmed. You didn't pop out knowing how to worry. You were taught how to worry. But the good news is what you learned, you can unlearn. Whatever you learned, you can unlearn. Whew. Before I get to the topic, I've been teaching these classes, The Truth About Happiness. Now it's 3 states, California, Oregon, and now I'm in Nevada, in Las Vegas. And one of the homework assignments, I assign homework, and I tell the students, you don't have to do the homework if you're not inspired. So when I do get answers to homework questions, it's really interesting because self-awareness is the beginning of finding a solution. So what I share is the gift is all of your solutions, all of your problems can be answered in an instant with one tool. What? Tool? What are you talking about? Looking in the mirror. It's not out there. It's that person in the mirror. You are that powerful. So these are some of the questions I asked. What type? And it's fun. It's fun. That's the other thing. Fun, funny, keeping all of this light. One of the things with me when I know I'm feeling feet in quicksand, that feeling, I know, number one, I'm taking things way too seriously, and I'm thinking that this is important. This is important. This is serious. And when I have that serious and important energy, you can feel the difference. You can feel the heaviness, I want to say heaviness, the heaviness of this is serious and this is important. And that's a level 3 program behavior. Programmed to think that this moment is serious, and from health to death to finances to relationships, this is serious. You can navigate, you can journey throughout the life without having that extra load, that extra burden of this is serious. Let me get back to the question. Boy, I can just go off on a tangent. List what type of people that annoy you. Example, people that are rude, people inconsiderate, selfish, people without compassion, people that get angry, people that have a quick temper. Oh, people, there's an endless supply. I mean, I'm sure if I asked you what are the type of people that annoy you, who knows when the pen is going to stop writing? How about this one? Oops. Number one, and I'm just sharing. This is an interesting question, and part of the journey is being aware of self to the point where before you speak, you know your intention. Before you speak, you know whether you are going to create peace or drama. Before you speak, there is a pause. There's a difference between reacting to life and responding to life. Responding requires self-awareness. Reaction is just a program. You might as well just put on the robot suit. By the way, did I say that this show is going to trigger buttons pushed? But when my buttons are pushed and when I'm triggered, I know that it is just another indication Have I got homework to do? I got some more digging to do. People that talk too much and don't give anyone a chance. Oops. People that can't admit they're wrong. Oh, that used to be me. I was right about everything. And I let everybody know that I was right about everything. And now at this point after 45 years, making a commitment, prioritizing, focusing on, number one, the vibration of contentment and peace and happiness, I gave up that burden, that heavy burden, of needing to be right. I don't need to be right. You can be right. You can be right about everything. And boy, oh boy, does my ego get bothered by that. People that are selfish and inconsiderate, people that lack empathy, people that hold grudges forever. You know what? This person is describing me or who I used to be. Hold grudges forever. I was a Guinness Book of Records grudge holder. Oh, and I was proud of it, too. Oh, well, my ego was proud of it. I was proud of it, too. And so that is the key here, separating yourself from the ego. Now, I use the word ego, use whatever word you like, but that entity that comes up with that something is wrong in this moment. This moment needs to change. This moment isn't enough. There's a problem in this. Those kind of thoughts and stories. It's all ego-driven, and I have them too. I have the thoughts. I have the negative stories. All of that. I'm not trying to resist them. I'm not trying to stop them. I'm not ignoring them. I hear all of the stories, but they are a little bit more quiet. They're not yelling at me anymore. Poor stories. They're talking. The sound is very, very faint, very, very soft. And the practice is to separate yourself from those thoughts and separate yourself from the stories, because you are not your thoughts. You are not your stories. Contrary to what the world teaches. Whew. How about this one? Oh, I'm going to go back to this lacking empathy. Because this homework assignment was turned in last week, and I've got something for this person when I go back, and I want to share with you. So this person says people that lack empathy. So you don't have empathy for the people that lack empathy. Whatever you label someone else, whatever you complain about someone else, or whatever you see and make a judgment about someone else, guess what? You're talking about yourself. I cannot wait to go back and say, have empathy for those people that don't have empathy. Can we do that? You see how everything gets turned around to self? Everything gets turned around? Oh, loud music is on, and they refuse to turn it down. Let me just read a couple of these. People that are negative. People that are lazy. People that are lazy. Well, I wear my lazy flag. I wear my lazy flag high. I wave my lazy flag high. Yes. And I was labeled lazy from a very early age, and it was a long time that I felt bad about it. But now I wear it proudly. Yeah. In fact, that would be a great club. The lazy club. People that what type of circumstances have the ability to push your buttons? Bad customer service. Well, that's a real common one. Complainers with no solutions. I'm going to have to say, that's another good one. I'm a what's the problem, what's the solution kind of girl. And let's see. People that think, people that think rules don't apply to them, people that are self-centered, people that are rude and patronizing and enjoy making people feel stupid. Let me just, rude and enjoy making people feel stupid. You know, the truth is nobody can make you feel any way. Nobody can make you feel angry. Nobody can make you feel stupid unless you already have it inside. I mean, this is spirituality, truth 101. Nobody can make you feel stupid. So when I'm triggered a button, I go right to the mirror. It's me. What can I do? How do I grow from this? See, people that are closed-minded and, in fact, are not open to other perspectives blame others instead of taking responsibility for their own lives. Uh-oh. I'm going to put a little note besides this one because, let me just do that. Rude. I'm going to have to comment on that, people that make me feel stupid. Okay. Making fun of others, are entitled, they don't listen, talk over me. People that have all the answers. Well, I have to say I have a lot of answers about this thing called happiness. Don't speak back when I speak. Pretend to have it all together. Okay. Interesting, isn't it? This self-discovery and self-study is very, very instrumental in finding answers to what do I practice now? When I say happiness is a practice skill, what is the practice? And the practice requires taking time and being patient and taking time with self. But enough of that. Let's get to today's topic. Okay, here we go. Seatbelts on for everyone. Seatbelts on. I don't know about you. You may have heard it. But this thing that the world is saying, a lot of people, scratch the world, a lot of people are saying, what's your why? Discover what your why is. Answer the question, what is your why? Well, when you ask the question, what's my why, who is giving you the answer? What entity is coming up with the answer? Is the universe giving you the answer to your why, the question, what is your why? Is that universal? Who are you identifying with? What are you identifying with when you ask that question, what's your why? That is another programmed question from the ego. What's your why? And usually there's always good intentions. Well, my why is to uplift the world. My why is to inspire change. My why is to assist, help others. That's my why, to serve. And I'm not poo-pooing any of it. I promise you, I have my hands in prayer position now. I promise you I'm not poo-pooing the actions. What I am putting a spotlight on is the question itself and the genesis, the begin. What is asking that question? The universe doesn't ask a question, what's my why? The universe isn't saying, what's my why? That's not a universal question. So number one, these questions that are asked, I always have to check. I have to check it. Is this a universal question or is this an ego question? Nothing wrong with the ego having a question, but know where it's coming from. What's my why? And who is coming up with the answers, the whys, the wants and desires? Does the universe have wants and desires? There are no, the thoughts, I get the thoughts when, okay, hold on, let me just back up a little bit. I'm trying to explain this. I'm trying to explain too many things, and I'm jumping all over the place. Let me just back up just a little bit. You know what? Let me take a deep breath. Deep breath out, a little drink of water. Hold on. Gulp, gulp. The thoughts turn into thought patterns. Recognizing a thought pattern and identifying with your thoughts. I don't identify with my thoughts. It's just a recycled stories and thoughts from decades, years, millions of years old. Recycled thoughts. And I refuse to identify with those thoughts. They're not mine. They're part of a collective ego. So what's your why? The real question, this is coming from my perspective, the real question is, who am I? Who am I? Again, the number to call in and speak with me live is area code 646-564-9619. Again, area code 646-564-9619. And when you ask, and when people say, know your why, oh, I know, it's just so prevalent. Know your why. Why? What entity is giving you the answer to what's your why? What entity is answering that question? Your why is your existence. You are here. Do you ask, why do you have blue eyes, green eyes, brown eyes, black eyes, gray eyes? There is no why. Universally, I mean, you want to stay on the human level, fine. You want to remain. And I'm talking about here we go. I'm talking about the human level. On a human level, yeah. What's your why? But when you expand, grow, expand consciousness and awareness. For me, that human level is a very, very small percentage of who I am now. Very small percentage. So either you are acting 100% human, which human programmed, 90%, 80%, 70%. But I'm here to share with you that this human side, my human side, I'm not interested as much as my universal side. My human side is programmed to blame, compare, worry, fear, take things personally. It goes on. Lack of acceptance. That's my human side. Lack of acceptance. Lack of acceptance of the moment. Living in the past. That's my human. Living in the past. Talking about the past. Bringing up the past. Remembering the past. Having attachment. That's a human ego, human. Having an attachment. Attachments to people. Attachments to outcomes. Attachments to anything external. I remember having a conversation with my son years ago and telling him, no, I'm done with the humanness. I mean, occasionally, okay, it's going to slip in. Occasionally I can do some human things, but I'm over doing the human. And I don't know if I'm really explaining this succinctly, but I'm going to keep going. The why, asking your why is the problem. Why do birds sing? Because they're birds. That's what they do. Asking my why am I here? Scratch the why am I here. Who am I? My answer to that is I am a spiritual being, God, having a human experience. That's who I am. God is experiencing this. The universe is experiencing this life, this lifetime, through me. And the universe, you can use whatever term you want, because some people like God, some people like the universe. It doesn't, I use the term universe. Whatever term you want to use is fine with me. The universe is experiencing this form, human form, through me. And guess what I've discovered? The universe doesn't have any preferences on what it wants to experience. What? You heard me. The universe doesn't have any preferences on what it wants to experience. That's my perspective. The universe wants to experience all of this, every bit of human behavior, from the judged as good to the judged as evil. That's right. I said it. And it's not an easy, it's not easy to, I'm speaking of myself, it's not easy to comprehend why the universe would want to experience something that humans would consider evil. I remember I went to Esther Hicks, Abraham Hicks. This was probably at least 15, maybe 20 years ago. At least 15 years ago. And one of the things that Abraham said through Esther was, yes, there are some animals that come back into human form, reincarnate into human form, and they do it because they want to experience getting eaten. What? Getting eaten? You want to experience getting eaten? What? And so that's why the judgment, I'm speaking for myself, that's why when I'm judging something good, bad, evil, all of that, it's coming from my human side. And I promise you I get it and I understand. It's very difficult to allow and to believe and to practice and to know and to trust that everything is in divine order. And everything that is happening under divine order. It's difficult for this human brain to even comprehend it. I don't want to comprehend it. I don't want to comprehend people getting physically hurt or murdered or raped. I can't. It's hard for my humanness to comprehend that. It's difficult. But the sun shines on the serial killer and the Pope. The universe wants to experience all of it. There are no judgments. I know. There are some beliefs that, yes, God judges, heaven, hell, all of that, and I get it. But I just don't, I'm not in that camp. Everything that is happening is in divine order, and it's very difficult. So you either see the world in divine order or you see the world with problems. And I'm not making a judgment on either one. there's a difference between witnessing life, observing it, and judging. And I've mentioned this before, that you can Google it. It's called the double slit experiment, double slit, S-L-I-T. And coming to the solution with all of this. What the scientists found is that an atom, when it was watched, when it was observed, behaved differently. When it was observed, I don't know if it was a pattern, a wave, and it wasn't observed, it looked a different way. Google it, look it up. Of course, I probably could have gotten some more information myself, but I was too lazy. Woo! One of the practices is observing the ego. When my ego asks questions, what is my why? Or when I'm observing my ego, that I go automatically from 0 to 1,000 with the customer service. I had to call customer service this morning for Uber. I had to call customer service this morning, and instantly I watched my ego. Observe my ego instantly the triggers, the buttons come up so quick. I don't even get a chance to rest. And all triggers and all buttons come from the past. But the practice is, the solution is just to observe and watch and witness without judgment, and also practice acceptance of the feeling or the behavior from 0 to 1,000,000 of frustrated, getting annoyed, being angry. Just watch it, observe it. Let's get back to this question, what's your why? The ego is always asking why. That is an ego question. Now, you can entertain the question. You can entertain your ego's questions, and you can sit and believe that it's you that's answering. So the crazy thing is, the ego is asking a question of the ego. And the ego is responding to the ego, and the ego is so tricky. It is, talk about Halloween, talk about costumes, talk about, it disguises itself in so many different ways. Even has a disguise of doing good. How about that? See, the ego just isn't just a fly in the ointment. Oh, the ego has a disguise of putting a cape on, and I'm doing good. It's a practice of emptying. Okay, scratch the emptying. It's a practice of putting a spotlight on the thoughts and the origin of the thought. Meaning, it's only two places it's going to come from: universal or ego. Universal or ego. That's it. I promise you I understand. When someone says, what is my why? Usually the answers are very noble. Here we go. Noble. Feel good. Doing good. That's still ego. What? No, it's not. It's still ego. It's tricky. The ego is so tricky. So the question again comes back to not what's my why, but who am I really? Who am I really? Now, with all of this knowledge and with all of this information, I am not saying to stop, don't do you, boo. Keep doing you. but recognize, or not, practice recognizing the origin of that question about what is my why. Because ask your why, keep your why in the forefront. Then you know why. It still comes back to, if it's authored by the ego, if it is created by the ego, it is going to have the effects. Anything ego created, just get ready for the okay, scratch that. Let me just back up a little bit. By the way, the number to call in is area code 646-564-9619. I have people in the queue, and if you want to speak with me or have a question, just press the number 1 if you're in the queue. Area code 646-564-9619. Getting back to who are you? The human side is most likely programmed. The human side is most likely programmed. Hold on a second. I have someone that wants to ask a question. Hold on a second. Let me push this button. One of these days I'm going to have a studio, great audio equipment, and some help. But it's not today. Or I won't. Doesn't matter. Okay, hold on a second. Area code 352. You are live on Reality Spirituality. Welcome to the show. What's your first name? Thank you for joining. Hello?
Good morning, Queen. My first name is Pastor. Can you hear me? Mic check. 1, 2.
Your name is Pat? Hello?
Pastor Don Jr. CEO. That's my name. Pastor Don Jr. CEO. Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
And what do I call you? What would you like me to call you? Pastor John?
Pastor Don Jr. CEO. Yes, people use Google these days, and I want to make sure as I'm speaking, if you would like, or if anybody in your listening audience would like to Google me, they can actually find me. Because there's a million Pastor Dons out there, but there's only one Pastor Don CEO.
Okay.
Yeah, but I just seen the topic, and I was like, this sounds like a very good topic. If you don't mind, when you say what is your why, what do you mean by what is your why?
Well, I'm not saying what is your why, but I've heard it a lot from people, coaches, to ask. They say, well, ask yourself, what is your why? And then you get a direction on what is your purpose, why are you here, what are you here to do. So I hear that from a lot of, and I'm here to say that question, what is your why, is already starting off on is already foundationally an ego-driven question.
Okay. Well, yeah, the topic got me because I feel the world is hurting and we need to bring for a change. I've been on over 1,000 radio stations. I'm constantly reaching out to the community of networks of people to bring people together. That's why I do what I do. But I just had to call in and show support to your program, Reality Spiritual Radio, because I know how hard it is to set up these shows and get stuff going, and it's hard when you're doing everything by yourself. And sometimes people don't know what you go through behind the scenes to put on a perfect show. You understand?
Well, so I have a question for you. So how do you view the world? Do you think everything is in order? Or do you think we have problems?
We have to work together as a community. I believe that God is guiding everything. I am a full-time pastor at the same time. It's a reality situation. That's why I love the topic of your radio show, Reality Spiritual Radio, because even though I believe in God, if I jump in front of a car, the car is not going to say, oh, you believe in God, you're a pastor, I'm not going to run you over. No, I'm going to get ran over. And so many times as parents, we teach our kids items and opportunities. We tell them don't do it like this, and then we go out and do the same thing. So coming on radio shows like this, having healthy discussions, going to open up the whole world. So I feel like coming out of this virus and this pandemic and getting back to work, we have to get back on that horse and get up every day and work towards a better future. Make sense?
Okay, so here we go. And let me challenge you a little bit. Let me challenge you. Work for a better future. I think the future is perfect right now. I mean the future. I think that work for a better future. So my thing is, one of the things that I don't do is I don't practice doing. Let me say that I don't practice doing is what is taught is not to make a judgment. The sun shines on the serial killer and the Pope. So I see order. Now my human side sees disorder. So who am I? What side am I going to? What side am I going to see? What team am I going to play for? I'm going to play for the team that play for the team. This is everything is in order.
Yes,
I'm going to play for the team, not
correct.
making a judgment.
I believe that wholeheartedly.
That says, okay, if there's a problem, I'm the solution. I'm the solution.
Correct. But I do believe with healthy dialogue, we can make for change, and everything happens from the instrument of an ideal. It's not the actual action of putting it in motion. It's the idea and the planning before you start action. I tell people all the time, if you're going to drive 1,000 miles, don't look at your gas tank halfway the trip. You fill your car up full of gas, and then you start your journey. Because if you start your journey with no gas, you're just asking for a whole ton of headaches, if you understand what I mean.
I do understand what you mean, and you're talking about problems and solutions. So let me ask you a question. If you feel like answering, if not, it's okay too. And we have more people in the queue, so if you want to speak with me live, the number to call in is area code 646-564-9619. Again, area code 646-564-9619, and just press the number 1. So I have a question. If you'd like to share, what are your challenges?
Well, my challenge is I have a winning team. It's 300 members. They all come from different walks and backgrounds, different faiths, different beliefs. I believe we as a people, we're suffering because we're not communicating and working together. In order to bring change, you have to align people. That's why I put all my 300 friends on a spreadsheet, because sometimes when you say you know X, Y, Z, and then they ask you, well, what's ABC's number, and you can't come up with that information, it makes it harder. So I believe in preventative maintenance before a pound of cure. If I can just take a teaspoon of some Robitussin and I won't be sick, I'd rather do that instead of going to 10 treatments of therapy, if you understand what I mean. I like to deal with the problem before it arises and do as much as I can to help the people while they're going through their problems. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense, but the interesting thing about asking, when I asked what's your problem, which you didn't answer, I'd say that lovingly. You didn't answer it. But because the thing with people, one of the issues is people are programmed. Do you worry?
No, I don't. I believe in God, and no, I cannot worry, and I believe God set things in motion. So I take life for what it is as it is. So you practice acceptance. And so what I found, though, and I may be off, but what I found is one of my biggest challenges with people is when you talk about communications, I totally understand and I agree, but the issue is we're all as different as our fingerprints. So coming up with a even if I use the word love or I use the word respect or I use the word acceptance, it means different things to different people.
And so sometimes the communication, I may be communicating and I think I'm being clear, but someone else with their background or their upbringing or their environment is going to not hear what I'm saying exactly. In other words, not going to hear what I intend to say. So it is a challenge. It is a challenge communicating with. When I say challenge, it's not impossible, of course, but the communication even has to be broken down because of the programming. I'm up to 54 program behaviors. 54 program behaviors that for happiness. And so one of them is lack of growth, being impatient. When I say one, I meant taking anything serious, having an agenda, having a dislike or disdain for anyone not like myself. So the challenge is it's easy to be peaceful with people that are like me, not like me.
Amen, yes.
Compatible with me, that compatible energy. But the challenge becomes how do you accept others that are not energetically compatible? How do you do that? That's a question I'm going to ask you. How do you do that?
I believe coming on radio shows like this, opening yourself up for open dialogue opens up the whole world. The only dumb question in the world is the one that's not asked. And if you don't ask and the person giving you the information, if they're not giving you real information, you don't know what's real. So I believe that we as a people, we have to come on radio shows like this, say and put our lives on the line, tell people about what we're going through, how we're going through it, and then let it put the black light up. Tell, hey, I need help. I need resources. Rome wasn't built in a day, and Rome was one of the greatest empires ever. But if they never got out there and
greatest empire, and I love it. I just want to interrupt just for a second because you're making a great point. And you're right. Rome was a great empire. But it eventually fell. All great societies eventually fell, and all will, and that's just the cycle of life.
It's the reality of it, and the sad part about it is we perish because we don't ask. It's so many times we need help, but we don't go to somebody and say, "Hey, I'm hurt. Can you give me $5? Can you help me? Can you direct me?" I've been on road trips with people, and they think they know where they're going. They totally lost. And it's worse when you're in the car and you riding with your friend, and they have directions. So I love GPS. I love this digital technology. But what we're doing right now is having a conversation. And I'm getting to know you. You're getting to know me. But I will say one thing. I've learned so much in this last 10 minutes, and this is priceless. It's wisdom. It can't be brought, sold, or replaced, and this is happening live. And if y'all missed anything, all you have to do is sign on to blogtalkradio.com, and you can click that link, and you will get the whole show back in its entirety, because you dropped a lot of gems today. So I really appreciate this. Thank you for opening the line.
Thank you for that. And and that you did make another great point. GPS, yes. So the question is, and I love opening all dialogue, and I totally the talking fine. So, but I'm a real. What's your problem? What's your solution? Which is what I hear you saying too. What's your problem? Ask for help. Ask for assistance. And you're right.
Yeah.
Community. I read that or saw that the other day. That community and having people and supporting, but it's difficult when the people are programmed, meaning the people have no sense that they are getting triggered or they have a program. See, people come, and let me just use myself as an example. I know who I used to be years ago, decades ago. I ain't the same person now, and the things that I thought were important then are not important. And life is about a personal relationship. This is my perspective. A personal relationship with the Creator, with God, with the universe, the higher power, whatever you want to call it. That personal relationship. That is number one. And so if I say I'm lonely, I'm sad, I'm annoyed, I'm triggered, I'm operating from my ego. It's not who I am.
All emotions, 100%. I believe you. And because of what you just said, this is what I'm personally going through. I'm going to share this with your whole listening audience. For the last several years...
hold on a second. Thank you for 15 minutes, and I'm asking you what's the challenge, and now we're getting to it. That's what I'm talking about. What's behind the curtain? Let's go. My ears are open. Let's go.
Okay, everybody under the sound of my voice, if you have a pen and paper, write this information down. These 3 words: poor planning make poor results. You have to have a plan behind everything. Even when I fix my daughter a bottle of water.
No. I'm going to stop you right there only because that's the... See, listen, we're going to be friends forever or not. But, see, there's a lot of cliches. Poor planning makes poor results. That's just a programmed saying. It's a cliche. So what if... So see, this is the thing. You have a destiny that cannot be stopped, that cannot be hurried, that cannot be slowed down, sped up.
Amen.
So God is going to implement the plan. The universe is going to implement your plan, whatever you do or whatever you don't do. Your plan is going to get implemented. You follow what I'm saying?
I do follow what you're saying, but I've been on over like 7,000 of these radio shows, and one thing I've taken away is every host is different, every platform is different. The way they handle a topic is different. So I understand when you got your head in the lion's mouth, you have to be careful, you have to be cordial, you have to be precise. But without a plan, it's not going to work. So in the midst of us talking about what's going on, I personally created the winning team. That's 300 business owners, professionals, individuals. I put them all on a spreadsheet because I meet millionaires every day, and they say, I have a business, product, and service. Who do you have to help? I just happen to have a list of 300 people I work with that's actually doing stuff at a high level in this industry. But no matter what, one thing I can say after creating a 365 days of radio campaign and getting on all these radio shows, sometimes you find out more as a fly on the wall than being the lead speaker. Because sometimes people want to say what they want to say, whether they know you're in the room or not. But then when you get close and say, hey, I'm the pastor, I'm here to help, I want to listen, let's talk about it. Then that changes the whole ramifications of the conversation. Does that make any sense?
It does make sense. It does make sense. And one of the things that I really like to do, I'm really not into just talking, and I get it. I promise you I get it. But what is the problem? What is the issue or challenge you're having, a personal challenge that you're having? Can we discuss it?
Oh, yes, we can. I feel the world is hurting right now. We're coming out of a pandemic for the last 4 years.
Okay. I'm going to stop you because I'm going to stop you because what it's a story. So your personal. See, even the lockdowns, the pandemic, all of that served a purpose, and it served a purpose for each individual, and it served and it also put a spotlight on who was programmed and who was not. You know, the pandemic was a big problem for everyone that's programmed, everyone that doesn't practice being okay with uncertainty, that doesn't practice everything is still in order, that doesn't practice knowing and trusting and surrendering to the moment. Yeah, that was the problem. But so see, the practice comes before. When you practice, let me hold on a second. So the practice is, what is the practice? Let me just, because when I say happiness is the practice skill, and I'm going to just put you on mute just for a second, because I have someone else on the queue. If anybody wants to speak with me live, just press the number 1. The number to call in is area code 646-564-9619. Again, area code 646-564-9619. Happiness is a practice skill. inner peace, contentment are all practice skills. And like any other practice skill, the more you commit to the practice, the better the results. I think you were saying something about that earlier, Pastor John. Committing to the practice. So the plan is to practice. Ask yourself this first question. How important do you value, do you prioritize, are you willing to make a commitment to having vibrating the energy of peace and contentment all the time, not just sometimes, all the time. And so your answer is going to determine how much contentment and happiness and inner peace you're going to experience. So the first part of the practice is to gradually eliminate programmed behaviors that have been proven to subtract from your inner peace, contentment, and happiness. So the practice is looking in the mirror. It's Michael Jackson song, The Man in the Mirror. Looking in the mirror and making a change within. When the individual changes, the world changes. You don't have to even leave your house. When your vibration, when your personal energy shifts, the world's vibration and the world's personal energy shifts. It's I'm going to say it's simple, but it's not practice. So the program, what people, not making a judgment, just an observation, what people tend to do is not recognize that their words are cliches, their words are just stories, their words are just talking. And I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with talking, because yes, open dialogue. You never know what you are going to gain, what you are going to be inspired by. But I'm into solutions. What's your challenge? Let's work on a solution that is going to bring you more peace and more contentment. So some of the problems are, let's see, what was the problem someone wrote to me before. Let's see, hold on, let me just try to remember. There's so many. Okay, here we go. This was an issue that one of the students asked me. She was having a hard time. This is what happened. One of her friends, and this is what I'm talking about. This is what this show is about, not just talking. There's nothing wrong with talking, but what's your problem? What's your solution? So she was saying that one of her friends, they play cards, and one of her friends said something, insulting to her. And she wasn't bothered in the moment, but later on, you sit and you think about it over and over and over, and then you get madder and madder, or you get bothered. And so by the evening, she can't get out of her head what this person said to her that she believed was an insult. So now the problem was that she can't sleep. She's thinking about it. She's ruminating on it. She just can't sleep, tossing and turning. And this happens more than just once. It's one of her patterns of, I can't sleep because my mind is racing and the thoughts are nonstop, usually negative, no solution. You know what I'm talking about. We all have them. And that's what I'm saying. Those times when the stories seem like they're loud, when the thoughts seem unrelentless, they just won't shut up. One of the practices that I do is, and the thoughts and the stories are all coming from the ego, is, yes, I hear you, ego. I hear exactly what you're saying, and I hear all of your complaints. But I know that in this moment, my dear ego, my friend, the ego, I know that in this moment, despite what happened, insulted, served me in some way. See, that's the counter. That's the counter to the stories. I know I'm being served. And another thing I say is, and I know that whatever's happening is for my betterment. And I know that whatever I'm experiencing is for my good and for my growth and for my expansion. I know that. I believe that. I trust that. And guess what you're going to say? Oh, and this is another question you can ask when your thoughts keep they just won't shut up. What's good about this? What's good about this? And what happens with me is the ego is silent. Not for long. That's the kicker. Not for long. But it gets silenced. My practice is to keep the ego on life support, barely surviving, barely feeding it. And I can only do that. You can only do that with self-awareness and with really knowing and observing. Again, the observation of the ego forces the ego to behave differently. Just the observation and practicing the acceptance. See, there's no hating on it. There's no hating on the ego, but I sure do know how it behaves. Number one, the characteristics of the behavior. Number one, it's always dissatisfied. There's never any vibration of satisfaction. It's always dissatisfied. The ego always feels discontent. The ego always thinks this shouldn't be happening. The ego always has this, something, I need more. I need more from the present moment. The ego is waiting for a manifestation in order to be peaceful. And that's the trick. See, that's just another, what do they call those? What is it? Was it the shell game when you put a pea under three? What was that called? Is that called the shell game? And you mix everything up, and where's the pea? It's a game, and it's so tricky. And the ego doesn't take any time off. It doesn't take vacations. It doesn't take any breaks. So that's what you're working with here, an entity that is ruthless. And an entity that disguises itself as you. You are not your ego. You don't ask the question, what is my why? That's an ego question. Your why. The question is, who am I while I'm on this planet, while I'm experiencing this thing we call life? Who am I really? Isn't that fascinating? As soon as we're born, we're given a name, a nationality, a religion, a race, a culture, and then we spend the rest of our lives identifying and defending that identity, name, culture, race. Someone was, where did I hear this? I don't remember who it was, but someone on YouTube, and they were talking about God and how God isn't a color. God isn't black, white, red, blue, purple. God doesn't see color. What is all of this human programming to identify and to make a color important? Oh, I told you buttons are going to be pushed. Buttons pushed, triggers, hate mail. I've received it all. But what is this focus on color? People of color. I get it. I mean, I'm black. But what is the focus on color? Is that universal? Does God, what? God is not a color. So what is this human focusing on a color? And if you are one of those people focused on noticing color, I'm not going to judge. I'm not judging you, but just be aware that what you're doing, that the focus on a color is another program. I'm not saying not to. I'm just saying it's a program to focus on something that isn't universal. That's a program right there. From the beginning of time, there are people that, the rulers, the kings, the middle class, the poor, and just from the beginning of time to the end of time. Well, who knows what's going to be at the end of time. My point is to break out of the programming, to let go, to eliminate, to be aware of the programming, the beliefs that you have, the beliefs that you hold. Question, all I'm saying is to question the origins. Question the origins. And so when you ask, what's my why? I mean, one of my favorite sharks on Shark Tank, it says this: what's your why? Discover your why first. But who is the one coming up with the answer? What's your why? I'm not going to let my ego drive at all. I'm not putting my ego in charge of making any decisions for me. And in fact, here we go. If I am angry, pissed off, annoyed, sad, irritated, lonely, I'm just allowing my ego to take over, to possess my body, to possess me. So anger, trigger, lonely. I'm lonely. I don't have any. All of those. I'm just saying I'm putting my ego on blast. You're not me. I am not you. Apparently, we have this relationship, but I'm not giving you any power, and I'm going to feed you less and less and less. And that's all I'm saying here, is to be mindful of who you are, really who you are, at a deep, deep universal state, and who you are not. When I allow my ego to take over, to take charge, to make decisions, I already know what the outcome. I already know the outcome. It's not going to be universal, and that requires practice of letting go of any earthly attachment to a person, to anything material. Letting go of all attachments. Letting go of everything that isn't universal. So ask yourself the question. And Byron Katie, her first 4 questions, it's called the work. And her first 4 questions, the first 2, same questions. Is it true? How do I know it's true? So ask yourself, is this true? The world is in a bad state. There are people out there, they're going to hell, or all of the pandemic, all the stories. Can we live in the present moment without stories? Can we live? Can we survive? Can we let go of the stories All of the stories are authored by an ego. And let me give you a clue. Let me turn this down. Let me give you a clue. If you only manage to have one perspective, if you can only manage to have one perspective about any topic, know that it's ego-driven. The ego can only come up with one perspective. Ask it for another perspective. Ask the ego, how is this serving me? Ask the ego, what's good about this horrible situation I find myself in? Ask. You'll get silence every time. At least I do. Asking what's your why? No, thank you, ego, but nice track, nice try. Asking, who am I? Who am I? That's the real question. You are a spiritual being. You are God. You are the universe having a human experience. Period. Can we let go of all this other stuff? Question mark. If you can, scratch that. You can eventually, when I say let go, soften all of the ego's, my eyes are closed and I'm visualizing roots, just digging in. You got a lot of weeds just digging in. You can eventually pull one weed out at a time with patience, with trust, and asking the universe to assist. Universe, how do I let go of thinking I need to plan? How do I let go how do I let go of being anxious, of being anxious about the future? How do I let go of that? How do I practice more trust? How do I trust more? How do I surrender in every moment and know and believe and trust that this moment is serving me, even if it doesn't feel like it is? How do I? I always ask the universe with how do I questions. How do I questions? How do I experience more contentment on this journey? How do I experience more inner peace? Because those are the things that are important to me. Not about me, Rebecca L. Norrington. To me, inner peace and contentment. What else do I need? If I can buy anything in the world, I can travel, I could buy, but I have no contentment, no thank you. If I could, I don't care, millions of followers, an audience of thousands, traveling all over the world speaking, and then at the end of the day, if I don't have any contentment, what? Who cares? And in fact, let me share this. I usually share this in the shows, but this is, I didn't do it. I'm sharing it now. It's called The 5 Most Common Regrets of the Dying. The 5 Most Common Regrets of the Dying. You can Google it. Number 1, I wish I would pursue my dreams and aspirations and not the life others expected of me. I wish I didn't work so hard. I wish I had the courage to express my feelings and speak my mind. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends, and I wish I would have let myself be happier, a.k.a. experience more contentment. Now, everybody isn't going to value contentment and peace, and that's not important, but I'm here to tell you that's number 1. What else? Number 1, I could be inflicted with some kind of medical condition. I have a few medical condition, but I can vibrate contentment even with medical conditions, even with physical discomfort. I can still vibrate an energy of contentment. is nothing external. It is an internal practice. So when you ask, when you're asking what's your why, and it's usually the answer is usually a noble cause. Even the ego loves to make me think that I'm noble. Oh, it's a good one. But in reality, you can't insult me and you can't compliment me. Insult or compliment. Don't need it. I don't need anything that I don't already have. And in fact, everything I need, and I'm going to throw you in there too, everything I need, everything you need, you already have. This vibration of dissatisfaction, I'm dissatisfied, and then I get the pushback of, well, the productivity. The ego criticizes everything. What you're doing, why you're doing it, not doing it fast enough, it's not happening fast enough. What? So the program is to criticize self. That's another program. Oh, it's deep. It's deep. Wow. Well, if anyone wants to, there's some people in the queue. If you want to speak with me live, just press the number 1. And if you want to come up and make a comment on wisdom, please feel free. Otherwise, I am going to end the show in a couple of minutes. You know, I get new followers and new people all the time. I have no idea how people find me. But I welcome everyone, and my purpose on this planet is to merely share with as many people as possible, or scratch that, as many people as possible, with as many that are interested, because that's another program caring about being concerned with numbers. How many numbers, how many likes, how much money in the bank account, all of that. The freedom doesn't come from having money. Freedom comes from a frame of mind. Because I'll tell you this, the billionaires of the world cannot buy contentment. The billionaires of the world cannot buy inner peace. The billionaires of the world are in the same boat that all of us are in. It doesn't matter what you have. What matters is what you're vibrating. It matters what is your energy. And it really does. If you don't think it matters, that's okay too. But what matters to me is my personal vibration, my personal energy of peace when I'm out and about in the world. What am I vibrating? That's my contribution. And your personal vibration and your personal energy is your personal energy is your contribution. Beep, 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 beep. Hello, John B. John B. John B. John B. John B.
Do I have to go?
We spoke before, didn't we? Didn't we speak before?
I think so. About a week ago, maybe. You came and we talked for a minute.
Okay. Yes. Oh, yes. I remember. I came on your wisdom. Yes, I remember. What's up?
No, it's another day on the planet, and I thought I'd have a conversation with you. You're talking about things I can certainly relate to, and I just, within months, quit working for a billionaire. And, you're right on target with that. It says in the Bible that it would be easier for a camel to fit through the eye of a needle than it would be for a rich person to enter into the kingdom of heaven. And what I take from that is exactly what you said. It's all smoke and mirrors, and what you have is no ticket to peace and happiness and a connection to something greater than yourself. This guy I worked for was about as disconnected a human as I'd ever met. And I couldn't work for him.
You know, when you were talking, I was getting chills. I always get chills when I get messages or hear the truth, and I was talking about universal truth or speak the truth. So when you first started talking, I was just chilling up, and I love the fact that you even shared that. All of what this world is showing, this from the musicians, you know, the showing all the things that we have, the car, and I'm not poo-pooing it. I mean, hey, that looks nice, thank you. But I definitely know the truth that it has nothing to do with your contentment, nothing. And in fact, my best friend is a retired officer of dignitary protection. And he's met anybody you could name in the world and been in their presence, from billionaires to kings and queens, and said the same thing you said as far as there's no contentment there. Now, everybody isn't into contentment. I get it, but that's number one for me. So please share.
Yes, I mean, exactly. The notion that you need something outside of yourself that is somehow going to turn the Rubik's Cube of life to all the same colors and it'll equal your happiness. It's not your house. It's not who your significant other is. It's not the amount you have in the bank. Go on and on and on. Mm-hmm. Anything that you're connected to this temporary experience as a gateway or a pathway into you feeling peace and contentment and love, and you have compassion and empathy for our fellows, you know, there's just, it's godless and it's loveless as far as I can tell. And like you said, you can have nice stuff. We're allowed to have nice stuff. Mm-hmm. We're allowed to have comforts, and I think the more I hang around, the more I just recognize, though, that my peace comes and my joy and my happiness comes from celebrating life with like-minded people and being of service to those that are still in the shadows or need a voice of love. You know, my commitment is to love people till they can love themselves in whatever form that takes.
Well, let me hold on. Let me, and if you have time, I'd love for you to pop in again. But sure. let me have time let me just share. You said your commitment is to love people. What did you say?
Until they can love themselves.
Okay. Well, let me put your seatbelt on for this, my dear new friend.
I'm sitting down.
Yeah, and seatbelt, crash helmet, all of it. That's not your job. What you can do. Well, okay, scratch. What I do, what I practice is accept these people exactly where they are, where you find them, because they are on their own personal journey. See, me making a judgment that someone isn't loving themselves, and it may, you know, and I get it. Yeah. Well, if they are behaving in a certain way, guess what? The universe wants to experience what they're experiencing. Who am I to say, and not to say that you aren't going to be influential, but you're influential with your existence and your own energy. Now, people may shift or have a different perspective or may change their mind or may be affected, but that's not my mission. That's not my mission. Oh, I can't wait to hear your response. Come back, please. Sounds noble, though. Sounds really good and noble. Oh, good. I like this guy. and so, okay. So I get it. I promise you, I get it. So the intention is to. How about the intention? Okay, scratch that. So my perspective is, my intention is to grow and to be more, to be an example of the universe, to be a human example of the universe, period.
How could you be anything other than that?
Exactly.
Yeah, I get that.
But I'm not. If when the book comes out, I don't have any desires for other people other than. I don't, because I know they're on their own journey. You see how that's a little ego, or you don't agree?
Well, I think the context is decisive. So I think if I talk more about what I said. So I would say, you know, on my journey, I advocate for those who are in a different space than I am. And these people come to me in different forms of substance use disorder and mental health issues. And what I would say is, those people that come to me in that condition, and I'm one of them too, because I've lived through it, we look for love in the wrong places. You know, it's akin to what we were talking before. Substances or things that are mood altering, from my perspective, disconnect us. And so when I say my commitment is to love people, my commitment is to shine my light outward. And I'm out of the results business. I don't know what happens to the seeds I sow. I do know that what I put out in love over time has come back to me in amazing ways. And I also, on the same token, I also 100% treat people as a resource for their own recovery or their own journey to wholeness. I think we all share the same kind of mind with creation, and they're on their own path for sure. And I can't control people, places, or things. My marching orders, I feel, are to share what's worked with those who are interested in hearing my story, as I'm interested in hearing what's worked for other people in their stories. That whole business of being related, it's very close to like in the 12-step movement, where you get people in the room that have a shared life experience. They can, other than advice, you just share your experience, and when you take what works and leave the rest, that's what I would say.
You know, I love that, and thank you for expanding and explaining that. And I'm behind you 100%. So let me ask you this question: so when you were going through whatever you were going through, or even now, scratch the when you were going through it. How about now? Was there an acceptance? I mean, a universal acceptance of love, and I'm, you know, arms around you, loving. It's okay. I'm not speaking of you right now, but it's okay to. This is going to sound really crazy. It's okay that you're doing drugs. It's okay that you're an alcoholic. It's okay that you are engaging in whatever behaviors. In other words, the acceptance first of it, as opposed to judging that there's something wrong. Because the universe wants to experience being an alcoholic on this planet. Is that crazy?
I was with you till like. Like my view of it is that the experience is like so I can say, listen, I've had substance use disorder. I've danced with things that I was killing myself. I wasn't living a sane and sober, in the present moment, feeling loved experience. And I think part of my experience led me to having exposure to the most loving, incredible people I've ever met. And I'm still in communication. I'm still, we're with each other. I have two godmothers that I've talked every day to, one at 7:30 in the morning and the other at 8:30 for 20 years. And having the grace of that for me has been incredible. I would also say that, I could make a case for the trauma that I had and the absolute, the abusive behavior that I was at the brunt end of from my parents, and the chaotic, crazy, violent childhood I had also led me to
come back. Okay. I hope he comes back. Okay, perfect. So I want to hit him with this. But I'm gonna hit you with this, but I'm using a feather.
All right.
First of all, I loved your honesty. I was with you until bam. I just love that. Okay. How about this? This is how I look at it. How about this? You went through all that shit. Now, you could say whatever you want on this show. Words have no power. That's another problem that I have. Words have no power. So how about all the shit that you went through? Parents, substance abuse, and I'm not taking it slightly. It's just I just talk this way. So, but without a story behind it, without a story of this is what I experienced. Bam, 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 but there's no story attached.
Right. In terms of my experience, like
yes.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah. Well, of course, the story. To me, the story over time was a source of suffering.
Yes, I almost spit out my water.
Story of So over time, I don't nurse the story because to me that's nursing the suffering. In terms of explaining my journey, I can explain some of the self-disclosed in a responsible way. So that those who have a similar experience, we can grow from the experience and talk about how we move beyond that experience.
And then being relatable with someone with similar stories. But there's another. Okay, I'll give you an example. I'm just going to use myself as an example. 2018, and people who listen to this show. 2018, my mother died, and I found out, she gifted the family house to the handyman. That's a story. That's what happened. But the truth is, she didn't gift the house to the handyman. That was a universal plan. A universal plan directed so that I would come out of that and realize that yes, I had expectations. Yes, I had attachments. Yes, I blamed. So I hear the story, but that's not all of the story. The story is limiting, and my ego can only come up with one perspective of the story. And so I know that my story is limiting. So when I share the story, it's even more than just a small limiting story. That's really what I wanted to say.
So what is that? How does that support you on your journey, or how does that edge you to the truth?
Okay, so in my practice is trusting, blind trust, and surrendering as opposed to resisting. When that happens, I'm up here full resistance mode for at least 2 weeks until I started laughing at it. Come on, it's a funny story. Mom dies, house goes to the handyman. You don't read a lot about those stories. It doesn't happen to happiness specialists. So then I go to what I practice, which is being okay with uncertainty. Not being okay, being at peace with uncertainty, surrendering in every moment, trusting, letting go, releasing people, places, and things, choosing a perspective, choosing my focus, celebrating the growth, practicing patience, and knowing that everything that happened served me. I'm being served with all of the crap that the universe hits me, and in fact, I think they're picking on me because I'm up here claiming to be a happiness specialist.
I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. There's in the acceptance of things the way they are and the way they're not, or have faith that there's something at play here that's, well, from my perspective, moving us toward having the perspective that you and I have.
Yes, exactly. And I got chills again. Exactly. I really do. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, that's it. I was just going to say there's what happened and then what we do with what happened. And what happened is what happened. And then if we take with what happened and have a story about it, it's what in some teachings called the second era.
Okay. I sure do like your contribution, John B. Thank you so much for your time. I know I asked you to come up more than once, so I really appreciate that. Oh, hold on a second. Who's this now? Oh, he wants to come back. I'll let you come back, and then I got to go. Because it's an hour and 40 minutes. Talking for an hour and 40 minutes. Your turn. Go, John B.
No, I just wanted to come up and say, how I was looking to put kind of a ribbon on what we're talking about in terms of, what's helpful and what's worked and how, and the benefit, what's the benefit for living a life where we're not we're less at the effect and more connected to accepting, and I use the word forgiving a lot. This morning I've been reading about only my condemnation injures me, only my own forgiveness sets me free. And the notion of complaining or making things wrong, ego-driven kind of, pointing the finger outward. I read, I've been reading too about how that the lock to our freedom is within.
Yes.
And, moving to a place of forgiveness and away from illusion and recognizing that, for me anyway, we're part of a plan that has us moving toward the best versions of ourselves possible. And I would say, here's where I would push back a little in what you said earlier about words. To me, I think I don't get hung up on saying shit or whatever else. I think though that first there was the Word, and the Word was God. I think the way the ability to communicate the truth through the spoken word can change the world. That's the power I think that the word has.
Oh, okay. And see, this is why the conversation is important for clarity. When I say words are not powerful, I'm talking about you can't insult me, you can't compliment me, you call me whatever name you want. I've been called toxic, selfish, unimportant. I've contributed zero to the planet, and it had absolutely no effect. But who can do that? And it's a practice. But I want to say something. Oh, shoot, what was it you were talking? Word. Of course I forgot. Of course. It's just too much.
You're thinking about that. I would just say what you're saying is so important. So important to have for me, my visualization is, having whatever antivirus program you would call for our internal software, so that if somebody's coming onto your side of the street and labeling you or saying you're something or pointing the finger at you, it's, for me, more about them. And also, but it's been a long road for me to get to the point where I'm what I call unmessable with. I was a comedian for a while, and comedians going back and forth in the room or passing the mic to the next guy, the guy or gal, and they could say the most vile, disgusting things to you, but it didn't really matter. Everything was just part of the act, and it was like water off a duck's back. But it's been decades of work for me to move to a place where I was not at the effect or not believing whatever came my direction from wherever it came from. And that's been a real important journey for me to get to that place.
Now I'm getting chills again because you're just talking about, we're saying the same thing just in different ways. It's a practice, and that's the thing. The practice takes time and it takes patience. But I remembered what I wanted to say. I understand. My first book, Reality, Spirituality, The Truth About Happiness, there was a whole chapter on forgiveness until someone told me, and it hit me because I can feel truth. I can feel in my body universal truth. Oh, you might have to come back. But it was about this thing, forgiveness, until a woman who channels, and she said, okay, here we go. There's nothing to forgive because there's not mistakes made. And the forgiveness, and I promise you I get forgive self, forgive others. The forgiveness, and I get it. Even Jesus said, forgive them, they don't know what they're doing. But I lean more, there aren't any mistakes made, so there's nothing to forgive.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Yeah, but forgiveness is the one piece of illusion that we can use as a tool to move into the peace that passes all understanding. There really isn't. that, you know, there's nothing to forgive. It's right. That's correct. From the teachings that I was actually reading this morning is that forgiveness is the road that leads us out of the disaster so it's like forgiving cleans the slate that was never dirty. Is what I got today. I wrote that in my journal.
Ooh.
Forgiveness cleans the slate that was never dirtied or, you know, whatever you want to put in there.
I have to write that down. My whole body is chilling up. Forgiveness, hold on, and I only write with purple. Forgiveness
cleans
the
slate.
Mm-hmm.
Cleans the slate that was never dirty, or cleans the slate that was never written on, or you know.
I like dirty.
Like the languages.
I like dirty. Forgiveness is a slate. Forgiveness cleans the slate that was never dirty.
Now I have chills, and that came out of me today. It's amazing.
Well, I know. Isn't it so? See, the universe just works when it works. Forgiveness cleans the slate that was never dirty. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah.
And also forgiveness is always based on the past. So if you're in the present moment, if you're living in the present moment, I know if I'm triggered or whatever, it's because of the past. But if I'm really, truly living in the present moment, there's nothing that is going to trigger me, ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or anger me, or anything. So the practice, and I haven't gotten that 100%, but working on it. It's when I say happiness is a practice skill, it's all about practice. Yeah. Yeah, practice.
Until
I breathe my last breath and I croak dead, done, next moment.
Yeah, and you know, when I've heard this before, but I agree that when death shows up, I'll be living.
Oh, crap. I got to write that down again. When death shows up, and it's an illusion that it's death in the first place. You know what I'm talking about.
It's not death, but when this particular experience, I will be living my life. I won't be in substances. I won't be regretting. I won't be holding on to anger. Like I won't be holding on to resentments. You know, I won't have expectations, which are premeditated resentments. I won't be fearful. I'll have my palms up and my boots on the ground, just doing what I'm doing. You know, I'm blessed beyond belief. Blessed with the opportunity to move into the present moment and be graceful and model same behavior for my family and use words that somebody who has experienced what I've experienced and added to how I roll through this experience. You know, it all matters and it makes a difference. I think all of this, these conversations, I think it all is just so important to our overall health and wellness that I'm just going to continue to do it until I can't.
Love it. And let me just say something about expectations, because that's another program behavior. I don't know if you heard earlier, but I've got 54, and one of them is having expectations. You want to eliminate all heartbreak and disappointment for the rest of your life? It's easy. Eliminate expectations. Zero of self and of others, of outcomes, of everything. Zero expectations. And I know that if I get hooked or get caught up, especially if, you know, with family, I had expectations. If I label my son, I have expectations of how he should, air quotes, behave because he's my son. So it's really interesting because labels, expectations are attached to labels. Labels are attached to expectations. So I don't label anything in my real life. Life is an experience, and then I'm going to end it. Life is an experience without judgment. Yes, Wow. What kind of show was this? We were flying high. I'm grateful for anyone that's listening. I'm okay if you're not. Thank you, John B., my new acquaintance. And you know the interesting thing about this life, people. This is what I believe and what I practice. If something is happening, it's supposed to be happening, and if it's not supposed to be happening. Everything happens when it's time, in order. You can't speed it up. You can't slow it down. What is my job? What is my responsibility on this planet? What am I supposed to be doing? Who's driving? I'm in the back seat, and the universe has its hands on the steering wheel. And I am here to enjoy the ride, regardless of how it feels, regardless of how it looks like. I'm here to enjoy the ride and be at peace with the ride and feel the energy of contentment during the ride. But I don't want to go there, I don't want to turn right. I want to turn left. Nah, I'm not going to resist whatever. Well, scratch that. My ego's going to always try to resist, but I know the difference. Whew, wow, what a jam-packed, content-filled show today. Thank you so much, John B. That's the end of today's show. Thank you for listening. Reality Spirituality Radio is heard every Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And you can follow me on Twitter at RL Norrington. In fact, what was I going to tweet today? I was going to make a quote today. I don't remember, but I know I wrote it down somewhere. You know, one of the things I asked the universe to keep me in the present moment. How do I live in the present moment? And so the forgetfulness is really big now. Who remembers? Follow me on Twitter at RL Norrington. LinkedIn, my Instagram handle is Reality Spirituality. I have a few videos on the YouTube channel. The book that I'm almost finished with, it's came back from the editor, and I got to review the editor's edits. It's called Program for Unhappiness, and that's going to be out hopefully before the end of the year, Program for Unhappiness. And until next week, my dear audience, I want you to remember who the hell you are. You're a physical extension of the universe. Your conscious energy, which is always evolving, always changing, sometimes growing, always growing. Love is patient and love is kind. Be patient and kind to yourself by accepting yourself along the journey in each and every moment. Be your own best friend. Remember, you cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. You've been listening to Reality Spirituality Radio with yours truly, Global Happiness Specialist, Inner Peace Practitioner, Rebecca L. Norrington. And I promise you that happiness, contentment is a practice skill. And the more you practice, the more you will experience those moments of happiness and contentment along the journey, regardless of what happens. Thank you so much for listening. Have a conscious week. Thank you.
Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. It's the new experience. Reality Spirituality. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one, man. Reality Spirituality. You got a question for RL?